Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Beck Law Office Q&A. On this week's episode, I'll be answering the question, can I install an aftermarket part or modify my car and still maintain a lemon law claim? And the answer is, well, it really depends on the modification, and it really depends on the extent of whatever alteration you're doing and the causes or the concerns that you're having on the car. For example, somebody having electrical concerns, flashing infotainment camera, malfunctioning backup camera, other lights showing up or turning on when they're not supposed to, may have a much more difficult time proving that that's a manufacturer's defect if, for example, they've installed a dashboard camera. Dashboard cameras are very popular now to catch people in accidents, but really the method in which they're installed you have to be careful with. If that dashboard camera is installed and connected to the wiring harness or the wiring components of the car, you're really risking potentially voiding the warranty. And any sort of electrical problem that you're having with the car, the manufacturer is going to blame you or blame that alteration. And in all seriousness, you may have altered the car or have interfered with the electrical systems and be causing the problems. But even if you haven't, what you have now done is made it harder for yourself as a consumer, because typically consumers do not have the obligation to actually prove what's causing any of the problems. And that's the reason for that is because that requires really expensive and very specialized experts to find out whether or not whatever the problem is being caused by a specific component or failure of the car. Now, the manufacturer is going to try to do this in opposition to your case, but when there's a obvious interference with a component of the car that directly or appears to be directly related to the problem that you're having, the manufacturer is typically always going to blame it on you, the consumer. And now what you've done is you now have to prove that not only what the cause of the defect is, but it was not your alterations or modification that was causing that problem. So you could potentially pursue a lemon law claim or case if you've modified the car or altered it, but it really depends on what. If we're talking about tinted windows here, that's usually not going to influence, for example, in transmission juddering or hesitation, for example, and other, depending on what the modification or alteration is. But if you're having serious electrical issues with your car and you've, for whatever reason, gone into it and modified or altered or wired in additional non-manufacturer parts to the vehicle, to the wiring system, you're going to have an uphill battle. So think twice before you modify your car, and make sure what you're doing is not something that's going to interfere or potentially void the warranty. If you have any specific questions, feel free to email me. You can also reach me by phone. Certainly willing to speak with anybody about the case.